calling here. There you go. Thank you. Okay, guys. Thank you all for being here and hearing me. I'll try to make this thing short because I know all you guys are tired, and so I know we just want to go home and have some dinner. First of all, I'd like to thank Advantech for giving me the opportunity to be here. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. And here, I would like to show you a real success case that was actually being completed because not only we just gathered the technology, but we gathered the intelligence and the people in order to have a success. And part of this success was having the right partner in the right time for doing things. So I'm a Colombian guy. Maybe you got the impression from Colombians, this guy bring drugs, stuff like that. But we got, we're smart people, and we're capable of doing things that you just can't even imagine. And we have got so far that we went to Australia. We really convinced people that we're able to build agricultural solutions that can help them to lower the cost of their operations. Agricultural business is something that's completely a forgotten business in the industry of logistics. Usually, when you hear about technical agriculture, you hear about yield monitoring or you hear about fleet management, but you never have heard about control. Controlling is a subject that, as a matter of fact, no one has been working actually and doing a real job and been working on that side. And that's why, like 8 years ago, we started a journey in which we created a solution that could cover this necessity of this special niche of the market. And this special niche of the market, what it wants is to control the way they spend their money. Because usually when you handle ag operations, what's the usual issue they talking about? Cost. The guys from fleet management, what's the typical thing you hear about cost when you hear people from ag business? Fuel? Am I right? What else? What kind of cost do you hear when you got an ag business? Anyway, from sugarcane, money. That's right, handling money. And where the money goes when you're handling ag operations? Somebody, some guesses? Well, it turns out that the money that is being spent in ag business, it's mostly because of labor and because the investment you have to do in order to grow the crops. And this, case that I'm about to show you is how we got a success in reducing the cost by combining Advantech's technology with our knowledge about agriculture and how to handle ag business. So for starters, I'll just give you some important facts of the kind of customer we were handling here. It was really far away from where we are. It was in Australia. So it was, the crop was sweet almonds. We got several varieties, and it was located in Victoria, Australia. I was living there for about a year to learn about the business and do all the deployment of the solution. This guys actually was a venture capital that came from a big company and invested in Australia to grow almonds there. So it was a big bet from a big company. And this guy's, whoa, we're spending a lot of money. We need to control this thing. Because when you grow almonds, it takes a lot of time, actually like 5 years, to get just the first crop. Can you imagine how much money you're spending on that? It's a lot of money. So this guy's just bought 10,000 hectares of almonds, and they were thinking, okay, what are we going to do to control 1,000 hectares? And they were doing an investment of $200 million. That's a lot of money. So we got a lot of challenges. We got big areas. So we have to ensure that the fleet is going to be used accordingly to the operations. And there wasn't enough fleet to cover all the area. So they must be really efficient for doing things. And one of the real costs of doing almonds was agrochemicals. You just can't even imagine. I was really amazed to see $1 million just stored inside a box about this size. It was amazing. I mean, those guys just used this little box in about 1 hour. So they spent about like $1 million per hour. It was crazy. It was completely crazy to think. And we have also to keep the traceability, because with foods you have to keep all the traceability of stuff that you're doing. So we found with Advantech the right partner for doing this thing. And why? That's the story that I'm about to tell in this session. Simple Agri found in Advantech the great partner that could join with us in order to fulfill all the requirements in order to do the fleet tracking. The typical process we cover with our solution are field and harvest. So we cover all the ag operations and all of the harvesting operations. We cover all the quality management because you have to take care of how good are you doing things and how good are the crops. Materials management. You have to take care of the agrochemicals that you're applying there because it costs money. Controlling. That's the main idea of all this. These people want to keep the money they're having to invest and get profit from it, not losing money. And when we have analyzed this thing with Advantech, we get a new set of challenges. How are we going to capture all this thing if the customer is telling us that they got limited staff doing this thing? They're just about 11 orchard managers for handling 10,000 hectares. All the machines were spread all the way through all the orchards, all the 11 orchards. So this is another challenge, how to do all the logistics for handling all the machines, and how the field can be reliably measured to keep track of how much agrochemicals are we spending. So the typical approach that you have with mobility, it didn't fit at all with this problem. They were involved with the drivers and the farm, the orchard managers. There were big distances because Australia is a really, really big place, and for doing crops for almond, you can just guess the size of those extensions of the fields. And even we had problems with the carriers, because in some spots there was even connectivity at all. The typical solutions for technical agriculture that were offered by the main providers for that, John Deere, let's say Ferguson, and so on, didn't fit for this kind of challenge that we're facing these guys. So that's why we're looking for a custom solution that could fit all the needs that I have already presented. So the solution was to create an end-to-end human hybrid on-board system. What it is? Simply a Track 573 with custom-made software where we can capture actually how much agrochemical are we applying to the field. It's not the typical stuff we got about fuel consumption. It's not about the typical thing about getting the labor of the people. It's a combination of all things, just one place. Because we're delivering to the customer, as we previously heard in these sessions, we're giving the customers a solution. We're not delivering the people hardware and software. So we gave vehicle tracking, we gave cost controlling by keeping track of the chemicals that have been applied and amount, and if they have been applied correctly or not. And we have given the total time of labor that has been done by the orchard managers and the tractors. And we got all the consumption rates that we could handle with the device. So how does the system work? The people just select a user. Just key in the work order. Just hit start. That's it. Because this, the kind of audience you're handling here, farmers, they are not tech savvy. They don't care about computers. They got an iPhone just for answering the phone. They don't even know how to browse with an iPhone. They don't know. So for these guys, things must be really simple. Just 3 steps and they're done with their job. Just leave all the accounting stuff to the people back in the office. So what we were able to do with all the data we were collecting with Track 573, we were able to collect with a GPS all the information of how the tractor was actually going through spraying the agrochemicals and the fertilizers. So in that way, we were able to determine how much agrochemical was applied to the field and how many chemical was wasted. Because while the vehicle was applying the agrochemical, we created a buffer where the agrochemical has been applied. So we could determine actually how much was inside the block and how much was outside the block. And you just can't even imagine what we found out when we started doing some testing with this. The information was segmented, and we were able to calculate real cost, because usually what they did is they just got the typical labor from 8 hours and they just divided by the amount of people. That's it. That was the cost. In this case, they were able to go deeper and do further analysis of how actually they were spending and how was the behavior of the driver. So with that, these guys were, because these guys we were working for were really control freaks, and they would like to get into legal detail. And with this kind of analysis, you can just start seeing that the data becomes really reliable. It's not the typical stuff where you get little bars and stuff like that. Okay, is this right or not? And finally, the managers were able to do real-time management. And it became a reality to do a real-time tracking. Because before, the only tracking device they got was a cell phone to call the driver and ask him where they were. And we were talking about doing tracking without any connectivity. So in this sense, what we did, we kept inside the devices all the history of all the record logs of how the tractor was behaving, and when we get back, when we got connectivity, we send back all the history to the server. So in that way, the managers were able to evaluate how actually the drivers were behaving. And we found that 35% of the cost of spraying was completely part of the chemicals. The labor wasn't the biggest component. Fuel wasn't the biggest component. Usually, that's the biggest component in fleet management, was chemicals. And we could found that 12% of those chemicals that were applied were wasted. So when you were applying that little box of $1 million, you were wasting $120,000 in just one application. It was those guys just outraged when they heard those numbers. So in conclusion, information is power here. If you get the right numbers and you are able to capture it, and you give the customer the tools for analyzing your stuff, you can do great things. And you can handle social challenges because people won't accept your solution. There's a culture behind this. And especially with people from the agricultural side, they don't like technology at all. So it was a really big challenge that we need to fight here. And optimization is not always the answer. No matter how these guys do the training, they're always gonna waste that thing. So after this analysis, they just figure out that they just start doing applications with another thing that it wasn't tracked. And identifying conflicts and goals and choose one of the largest overall to have an impact is the key thing to have a success. So as I told you, I will be fast. Thank you so much for your time. Any questions? Okay, here's the game, because everybody here is sleeping. I got a bag of coffee here. It's Colombian coffee, Juan Valdez. I will make a ruffle. Who wants it? That's for true. Welcome. It's over here. Okay, how we do this?
Only one?
I can answer the question. So what is the precision that you need to have this kind of application in the agriculture?
Can you say your microphone? Thank you.
So usually this kind of precision in agriculture needs pretty high GPS precision.
Right.
Right. So are you using the track standard GPS solution for this, or you have external GPS?
No, I use the internal GPS from the track.
And that's good
It
enough?
was close enough. We did a comparison between a real application where we measured with a flow sensor against our calculation with the GPS, and we had an error about like less than 2%. This was close enough. From the engineering point of view, it was a really good solution. That's why I'm telling you that this solution that Advantech brought us was amazing. Okay.